रूम का लॉक कर दिया था मैंने कि कोई नॉक करे तो भी पता न चले। अच्छा सॉरी। चलो ठीक है। So we were covering about the flight adaptation in birds, right? So I think we have good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone has enjoyed the festival, right? Astha, Aishali, Manish. Yes, Aishali.
Say good afternoon.
Okay, okay, fine. So I was asking that everyone has enjoyed the festival, right? Rohit is not here today. Chalo. So we were covering the flight adaptation. Flight adaptation. Abhi exam cut. Abhi jo the students who are giving 26 wala, they'll become much more serious, right? After that, because it's a kind of pause, right? After that, then the next year when you guys will, going to give the examination 2027, after that Holi, you will feel immense pressure. Trust me, you'll feel कि something there is, so कुछ तो start हो गया. Now the reverse clock is a start, है ना? Timing start हो जाती है. चलो. जैसे कि when we used to have that half yearly and annual examination, right? So after Diwali and after Holi, like that. So flight adaptation, we have completed the morphological, right? So morphological, what was the last point? I think tail one, short tail. Have you started the anatomical?
We did the flight muscles and endoskeleton from
We have started.
anatomical. Yes, yes.
Okay, so we have started anatomical. Okay, thank you. Anatomical, mein we have completed the flight muscles and endoskeleton both. Chalo, next study on. Endoskeleton of the birds contain endoskeleton. Show me, Anushka, how much we have written there endoskeleton. Okay, no issues, no, completely fine. Chalo, write it on. Online students, we have written at least 3 to 4 lines in the anatomical, right? At least 3 to 4 more lines. Yes or no?
Ma'am, in endoskeleton, we wrote about 6 points up to the sternum, that is extended up to the keels. That's the last point we wrote under endoskeleton.
So sternum was the last point we have mentioned in that endoskeleton.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay, fine. So in that sternum ke baad continuously write the 6 point. The fusion of pelvis with syncranum. The fusion of pelvis with synsacrum. With synsacrum. Which not only supports the weight of the body, which not only supports the weight of the body when the bird is walking, but also counteracts the effect of the shock, as the bird alights, Next, the fusion of digital tarsals with the metatarsals, the fusion of digital tarsals with metatarsals. Tarsals is your finger bone, right? Tarsal, metatarsal, that is your finger bone. To form a tarsometatarsus, which strengthen which strengthen the legs for bipedal digit, digits. Next, endoskeleton में the skeleton of forelimbs is completely modified for the attachment of feathers, for the attachment of feathers and flight muscles and flight muscles. There are only three digits. There are only three digits which are more or less fused, which are more or less fused. Third, after that, and endoskeleton and limbs will go digestive system. Third one is your digestive system. The rate of metabolism in birds is very high. The rate of metabolism in birds is very high. The food requirements are great. The food requirements are great and digestion is rapid. And digestion is rapid. Therefore, most of the birds are selective in their diet. Therefore, most of the birds are very selective in their diet, and accordingly their beaks are variously modified, and accordingly their beaks are variously modified. Further, full stop. Further, undigested waste is minimum. Undigested waste is minimum, which immediately got rid of, which immediately got rid of. That means the area where that undigested waste material can collect. So it is the size of the rectum is very small. Okay, that is a modification. And immediately got rid of. Therefore, the ill-developed rectum size, the ill-developed या less developed या reduced, कुछ भी लिख लो, reduced development in length of rectum size. Also the absence of gallbladders. Also the absence of gallbladders. Suppose that even if you have kept a very small, something on their body weight, that will create the hurdle. So even the undigested, even if it is a very minimum, right, still the size of it is, first of all, it is immediately got rid of, and उसकी size भी इतनी कम है कि store होने का problem ही नहीं है. ठीक है, चलो next. Respiratory system. Third, next, fourth. Respiratory system. As a flying bird, requires great and sustained power. Great and sustained power. Therefore, they have a specialized respiratory system. Such as in addition to lungs, they also have provided with reservoirs of air. They also have provided with reservoirs of air, that is air sacs, which actually makes their body balanced if they have an external pressure, because they are flying in that up to a certain height. So up to a certain height, the air is actually creating a sufficient amount of pressure, right? So वहां का जो pressure है, like external pressure should be managed with the internal pressure. So they have that air sac, so that external pressure is managed by the internal pressure. Having that is air sacs. Next, Blood in birds is oxygenated twice during a single breathing. Blood in oxygenated blood in birds is oxygenated. Blood in birds is oxygenated twice during a single breathing. During a single breathing, which is called double oxygenation or double ventilation, which is called double oxygenation or double ventilation. Rajkumar bhi nahi aaj. Double ventilation. As the lungs are supplied with air twice. As the lungs are supplied with air twice. As the lungs are supplied with air twice, comma, second time, second time. So what they do, whatever they inspire now, every pure, like all the amount of air which are inspiring, which is not going directly into the lungs, some amount of air first collected into that air sacs. So that is why first kahan se jati hai. So if we talk about that, inspiration is only once, but overall respiration is twice. Okay, so first in that inspiration, because they have the very low, I mean little small size of the body, so they have the good capacity of inhaling. So that inhaling is bifurcated. Some of them entering into that air sac, some of them entering air into that lung sacs. So एक बार once time oxygenated, which is supplied with that good network of the blood vessels, यहाँ से हो जाता है. Second time में with that when they do expiration, यहाँ से जो air जाती है, so यहाँ पे area खाली हो गया. So even जैसे कि when we talk about that inspiration, expiration, inspiration is like 0.1, expiration is like 0.1. So 0.1 time पे when this is air is entering, that's okay. But in the another 0.1 when the air is expiring in the normal scenario, even in the birds, in that scenario also, जब ये expire हो रही है तो ये 0.1 के लिए भी वो vacant नहीं होता. Air sacs से expiration के through इसमें चली जाती है. ठीक है, so that is called even in that. यहाँ पे अगर if we talk about suppose that 2 seconds या 0.2 seconds में only once, suppose that इसकी we talk about the respiratory rate of the birds, so 0.2 second है. But if we talk about इसकी respiration, it is your 0.1 second, because in that 0.2 second at each 0.1 it is oxygenating to the networking of the blood vessels. First is a direct inspiration, second is through the air sacs. That is a double respiration or double ventilation. ठीक है, because the second time from air sacs during expiration, second time from air sacs during expiration. Thus the respiratory system is highly adapted to supply more oxygen to muscles. Thus the respiratory system is highly adapted to supply more oxygen to blood, which also help in rapid digestion with combustion of food. Next, fifth one, circulatory system. Fifth one, circulatory system. More energy required for active flight. More energy required for active flight needs high output of the energy, which in turn required more oxygen, which is possible with efficient circulatory system, Full stop. Accordingly, the avian heart is large, four-sized. Accordingly, the avian heart is large, comma, four-chambered, large-sized, four-chambered, powerful, powerful, with double circulatory system, with double circulatory system. Next point, इसी में. Next point. RBC of birds contain large amount of hemoglobin. RBC of birds contain large amount of hemoglobin, which is responsible for quick, which is responsible for quick and perfect aeration of body tissues, and perfect aeration of body tissues. Next, excretory system. Next, excretory system. Excretory system. It is modified to reduce the body weight. It is modified to reduce the body weight. With no urinary bladder. With no urinary bladder. And semi-solid urine, and semi-solid urine immediately excreted out from the body. Immediately excreted out from the body. In the form of uric acid. In the form of uric acid. इसी में next point लिखो. For the retention of water, for the retention of water, the uriniferous tubule with Henle's loop, the uriniferous tubules with Henle's loop are efficient in water absorption. Are efficient in water absorption. That means whatever the body has the water content, they do not need to have more water, but in that sufficient amount of water which is carrying, which is able to carry in that even flight movement, which is continuously help in processing. इसलिए बहुत rarely आप देखोगे कि birds are sitting and having that water for the really longer period of time. ठीक है? जितना पानी के साथ वो survive कर पा रही है, that particular amount of water they will process it again and again and again. Okay, next. Next point, the warm bloodness. Seventh, excretory के बाद जो भी है, warm bloodness. Due to the perfect aeration, due to the perfect aeration of blood, body temperature remains high. Body temperature remains high. Sorry, around 40 degrees Celsius to 46 degrees Celsius. Human का body temperature 27 होता है, but इनका 40 to 46 degrees Celsius. Remains high, 40 to 46 degrees Celsius, and does not change, with change of external environmental temperature, and does not change with change of external environmental temperature. Therefore they are homeothermal or warm blooded animals. Therefore they are homeothermal or warm-blooded animal as a better survival, is important for better survival? Brain and sense organs. Brain and sense organs. यहाँ पे लिखा ना better survival. एक और बस दो word add more. And able and helps to and helps the birds and helps the birds to take the flight even at high altitude, and helps the bird to take the flight at high altitude. That means what is homeothermal? The basic thing that they have that broad range of temperature tolerance. Okay, at high altitude. Next, brain and sense organs. Brain. Birds have acute sense of sight and intelligence. Birds have acute sense of sight and intelligence. That we are 2025 का question आपका navigation in birds है ना, migration का decisive part. Birds have acute sense of sight and intelligence. Hence, optic lobes and cerebrum are well developed. Hence, optic lobes and cerebrum. Cerebrum is your front brain, right? Are well developed. Are well developed. Next, the olfactory lobes are small. The olfactory lobes are small due to poor sense of smell. Due to poor sense of smell. Okay. The cerebellum. What is the function of the cerebellum? Anyone? The hind brain.
Ma'am, balance. It helps me balance.
Yes, exactly, Ashali. Good. The cerebellum is also large. Is also large and convoluted. And convoluted to maintain the muscular coordination and equilibrium. To maintain the muscular coordination and equilibrium. Next point, sense organ के लिए. The special vascular body, the special vascular body called pectin, present in the eye, pectin present in the eye for the lubrication, and detection of minute movement at greater distance. मेरे पानी please fill कर दीजिएगा. For lubrication and detection of minute movement at greater distance. Minute movement at greater distance. Next point, sense organ का last. If you guys want, you can write the brain and sense organs separately also, then it will add more points. Okay? Right on. Next, eyes are provided with outer ring of sclerotic plates, sclerotic plates, SCLERO, sclerotic plates, which resist the pressure of air during flight. जब suppose that if you are sit on that two-wheeler है ना, so when if the bike or something is very fast, so it actually creates a pressure on your eye. So in that eye, because even when we are even on the road only, ठीक, so they are flying like directly. इनके पास helmet तो है नहीं, so that external pressure actually creates a problem in their eyes. So inside of their eye they have that sclerotic plate which actually maintains resisting the pressure of air during flight. Last add करो reproductive system. Modification is ended. Last, reproductive system, which is also modified to reduce unnecessary weight. It is also modified to reduce unnecessary weight, to reduce unnecessary weight, as only left ovary is functional, as only left ovary is functional in females, in females. ठीक है, देखो, from your birds topic, this is something which came multiple time, like multiple time ये वाला क्वेश्चन आया है, but आपके सिलेबस में although it has not been mentioned, what I have said that IFS में आपके multiple question है, but IAS also gave the question about that navigation, और आपका second most important actually topic है from this, the migration in birds. Migration in birds as similar as your fishes. So we were not going to write the definition and all everything, है ना? But because you guys have to look for by yourself कि ठीक है migration के example altitude, latitudinal and everything. So I am going to write this. ठीक है, मैं इसको लिखवाने जा रही हूँ, but conclusion और ये सब नहीं लिखेंगे. The purpose is same, right? Why they are moving, है ना? For the spawning, brooding, for यहाँ पे एक और thing we will write that to avoid that external harsh temperature. ठीक है, some of the Arctic tern, one of the very famous migratory bird, it is called that queen of the migration, that is called the Arctic tern because they cover very long distances. ठीक है, so they are also migrate because to avoid that extreme harsh external temperature. So we will add that thing mainly. ठीक है, चलो write it down. पहले ये कर लें कि flightless birds कर लें. Just give me 1 minute. चलो राइट डाउन फर्स्ट हेडिंग फ्लाइटलेट्स बर्ड, ये भी आपको ऑलरेडी आ चुका है क्वेश्चन 10 मार्कर में शॉर्ट नोट्स में. ठीक है, आफ्टर दैट वी विल राइट अबाउट दैट नेविगेशन एंड ऑल. फ्लाइटलेस बर्ड्स, नेम सम. ऑस्ट्रिच, यस, एमो, कीवी. ठीक है, अच्छा यू गाइस स्टिल सपोज दैट अगर मैं इसको डिक्टेट ना भी करूं, so still there will be some basic point, right? What are the basic point for the flightless bird? क्या होगा, what kind of modification they will have? They will not have a streamlined body. ठीक है, body shape थोड़ा बहुत. Next, I will not write at the point one, maybe 3 to 4. First point should be yes, very good, heavy weight, है ना? Weight will be heavier. So to maintain that heavy weight, what should be there? That hind limb, because when I want to fly, so I have to put more pressure. Large beaks, yes Manisha, large beaks comparatively. Okay, ठीक है, large beaks, weight हो गया. ठीक है, फिर beaks हो गया. इसको beaks को हम लोग सेकंड पॉइंट, थर्ड पॉइंट में लिखेंगे. यहाँ पे आप सबसे पहले रख लिखोगे सपोज दैट वी वांट टू फ्लाई, yes for defense. Okay fine, very good, that's a very good point, but we'll write in the third point. second point में ये लिखोगे the modification of your hind limb, है ना? बिकॉज उनकी जो फीमर होती है दैट शुड बी मोर स्ट्रॉन्ग टू बियर दैट मोर वेट. तो फर्स्ट पॉइंट ऑफ जो लिख रहे हो, सेकंड पॉइंट शुड बी इन दैट मैनर ओनली. ठीक है, मेक द हेडिंग. अच्छा, फ्लाइटलेट्स बर्ड को हम लोग रैटी उसमें रखते हैं, दैट्स नॉट राइट. ऑन फ्लाइटलेस बर्ड्स फटाफट स्पीड फास्ट करना, बट हम लोग थोड़ा शॉर्ट नोट लिखना है, दैट्स इट. फ्लाइटलेट बर्ड्स कभी कभी अगर ये ऐसे लिखा हो तो यही है. ठीक है, इनको when we classify ना birds, इसमें order में आती है. Rat is your order. ठीक है? Right on. Flightless birds are the birds which are lost the ability to fly through evolution. There are around through evolution. There are around 60. There are around 60 extant species. EXTANT. Extant species, including well known ratties. इसमें हम लोग लिखते हैं ऑस्ट्रिच एंड ऑल. इंक्लूडिंग वेल नोन रैटीज, ब्रैकेट में लिखो, ऑस्ट्रिच, एमू, कीवी, ऑस्ट्रिच, एमू, कीवी, रियास, RHEAS, etc. And penguins also. Just give me 1 minute. And penguins. So if you penguins, ब्रैकेट क्लोज. नहीं, रैटी में पेंगुइन्स नहीं आते हैं. ठीक है, रैटी में आपकी ये आते हैं, पेंगुइन्स आर, बिकॉज पेंगुइन्स को हम लोग उनका हैबिटेट अलग हो जाता है, राइट. फर्स्ट ऑफ द स्मॉलेस्ट फ्लाइटलेस बर्ड is Iceland rail. RAIL. ब्रैकेट में लिखो 12.5 सेंटीमीटर इन लेंथ. 12.5 सेंटीमीटर इन लेंथ and 34.7 gram in weight. And 34.7 gram in weight. While the largest one, देखो आपका ना short notes करके आता है, तो short notes में you writing everything, ठीक है. And the largest one is the ostrich. कितना होता है weight उसका around? Any idea? 150 gram, 150 kg around. ठीक है, 100 to 150 around. Yes, you can say that. 2.5 to 3 meters with 150 to with 100 to 150 kg. या 120 to 150 कर लो, जो भी लगे. 100 to 150 kg. आप लोगों ने देखी है कोई फ्लाइटलेस बर्ड? हैव यू सीन? गेस व्हिच वन? हैव यू सीन दैट लाइव? Oh yeah, of course, in zoo. Other than that, the zoo, duck is also the flightless bird, isn't it? Right? Write it on. Next ऐसा change करके लिखो. Many domesticated birds such as the domesticated chicken, domestic ducks, such as domestic chickens, domestic ducks, also have lost the ability to fly. For extended period of time, for extended periods, although their ancestral species, although their ancestral species, comma, the red jungle fowl, the red jungle fowl. पॉटिंग में फाउल की वो मिलती है ना, बोन्स मिलती है अनुष्का, फाउल की बोन्स मिलती है, अच्छा एमएससी में सर, एंट मलार्ड, एंट मलार्ड, spotted and mallard respectively, MALLARD. चिकन का आपका जंगल फाउल जो होते हैं उनकी एंसेस्टर स्पीसीज है, और डक जो है उसकी मलार्ड एंसेस्टर स्पीसीज है, ठीक है. आर केपेबल ऑफ एक्सटेंडेड फ्लाइट, आर केपेबल ऑफ extended flight, because of course with the help of the evolution I have already once told the evolution of the mountain goat from the goats, remember, ठीक है. So as the environment or the scenario or the situation was changing, the evolution, ये उनका different different species speciation हो गया, ठीक है. Next, a few particularly, a few particularly full stop, मतलब extended flight के बाद full stop है. a few particularly bred birds, bred BRED, bred birds, bred birds such as broad breasted white turkey, such as broad breasted white turkey, white turkey have become totally flightless, have become totally flightless as a result of, as a result of selective breeding, selective breeding. The birds were इसी के बारे में, the birds were bred to grow, breeding वाला bred है, the birds were bred या bred to grow massive breast, massive breast. Why we are adding that artificial and natural, artificially and natural both method. Massive breast meat, meat that weighs too much, that weighs too much. Next point, flightlessness, stanza पे लिख लो, next stanza, flightlessness, flightlessness has evolved, flightlessness has evolved in many different birds, in many different birds independently, independently, full stop. There were families, there were families of flightless bird which is now extinct, which is now extinct, which is now extinct. Forest residing, forest residing, PHORUSRHACIDAE, comma, that evolved to be powerful predator, to be powerful terrestrial predators, to be powerful terrestrial predators. Next around characteristics. Next around characteristics. First, skeletal and structural changes. First, skeletal and structural changes. इस पे लिखो the most significant differences among the flightless birds among the flightless bird and normal birds, the flightless bird and their aerial cousins, ऐसे भी लिख सकते हो, it's a good word. The flightless bird and their aerial cousins are found in their bones or skeleton. Are found in their bones or skeleton. First, comparatively solid bones. Comparatively solid bones. उसमें कैसी थी? Spongy and light-weighted, right? Comparatively solid bones. Flightless birds often evolve heavier and more solid bones. Flightless birds, yeah, they have evolved often heavier and more solid bones. Heavier and more solid bones, which provide the structural strength. Which provide structural strength needed to support the large body sizes. Needed to support the large body sizes. Bracket में लिखो ostrich. Large body size. Bracket में ostrich. Or to dive deep underwater. Or to dive deep underwater. Bracket में penguins. Bracket में penguins. Second point is missing keel. Tell me what is keel until I'm coming with the water. Second point, missing keel. Basically, keel is the extension of sternum. Yes, everyone online. What is keel? What is the
Ma'am,
significance?
the point where the flight muscles are attached to the
Yes, where it is
sternum, to
located.
the sternum.
Yes, okay, very good, Anushka. But it is not extension; it is a found in that sternum, which is important for that attachment of the flight muscles. I don't. तो इसमें क्या है जरूरत नहीं है because they do not need to fly so that it's strong. वैसे तो देखो it's not like कि आपकी flight muscles से directly attach नहीं हो सकती flight muscles sternum से, but it is a specific kind of joints for that extra so that strong flight muscle with the hawk or some big birds. So वहां से आपका एक strong एक और add on हो जाए, but they do not need to, है ना. So यहाँ पे keel is completely absent. I don't missing keel as most birds have a keel on their breastbone slash sternum. As most birds have keel on their breastbone slash sternum, where where powerful wing muscles attach Full stop. The flightless birds, the flightless birds have a flat breastbone or sternum, have a flat breastbone or sternum slash sternum as as they do not need as they do not need those massive anchor points of flight muscles. Those massive anchor points, ANCHOR, of flight muscles. Next, next point, reduced wings. ये तो फर्स्ट पॉइंट आप लोग ने बोलना था, है ना? किसी भी बर्ड की साइज को देख लो, फ्लाइटलेस, उनके विंग्स आर वेरी स्मॉलर. It is just to cover the body. That's it. Because they are the modified, so of course, that's it only. They do not have that big wings. Reduced wings size. Reduced wings size. Over generation. Over generation. With less uses through evolution. With less uses through evolution. Wings often become tiny and non-functional. Wings often become tiny and non-functional, specifically for flying purpose. Specifically for flying purpose, comma, or are repurposed or are repurposed as rudders, balancers, or flippers. Repurposed as rudders, balancers, or flippers. Or flippers. नेक्स्ट सेकंड पॉइंट लिखो, ये फर्स्ट पॉइंट था ना. सेकंड पॉइंट, फर्स्ट पॉइंट आपका स्केलेटल और एनाटॉमिकल वाला. सेकंड पॉइंट लिखो, द स्पेशलाइज्ड प्लमेज. द स्पेशलाइज्ड plumage. Write down here. Feathers on a flying bird must be stiff. Feathers on a flying bird must be stiff, interlocked, and aerodynamics Full stop. In flightless birds, without the need for lift, feathers take new look. First, hair-like texture. Hair-like texture. Many flightless birds such as ostriches have loose, shaggy feathers. Loose, shaggy feathers, which more look like fur. Which provide Yeah, which perform major function, not provide, which perform major function as excellent insulation and camouflage. As excellent insulation and camouflage with covering the body. With covering the body. Next, no preening required. No preening required. Second pointer. Flightless bird do not need to maintain hook and bar structure. Flightless bird do not need to maintain hook and bar structure that keeps the flight feathers airtight. That keeps the flight feather airtight. Next, third, alternative locomotion. Alternative locomotion. Alternative locomotion. में लिखो फर्स्ट. इसमें क्या लिखेंगे? ऑफ कोर्स सपोज दैट अल्टरनेटिव लोकोमोशन में एज देयर मेजर मेथड वे ऑफ लोकोमोशन इज नॉट द विंग्स और फ्लाई एज देयर मेजर मेथड ऑफ लोकोमोशन इज नॉट द फ्लाई. Therefore modifications are powerful hind legs या hind limbs. Powerful hind limbs dash thick muscular legs built for. इसमें लिखना है फर्स्ट पॉइंट में पावरफुल वाले में thick muscular legs with strong femur built for sustained running and walking also important in defense and offense purposes. Also important for defense and offense purposes. लोकोमोशन में तो मॉडिफाइड फिन्स भी आ जाएगा. सेकंड, मॉडिफाइड fins wings evolved into stiff flat flippers for flying through water. Example, penguins. Stiff flat flippers for flying through water. Third one, reduced toes. While most birds have 4 toes, the ostrich has only 2. अच्छा, suppose that this is a जैसे कि horses Horses do have that this kind of, जितना bifurcation होगा, है ना, that will be not, suppose that अगर human का जो four limb है, four limbs have that much bifurcated and evolved fingers, but if you see our hand limb या हम लोग अपने legs देखें, so fingers are not that much properly developed like your four limb, right? So when we walk, suppose that when we want to, you know, when we want to run, so we do wear shoes, है ना, unlike आपके hands की तरह उसका नहीं है. That means for that, because why they need to have the reduced toes, because they are very comfortable in that running. So अगर उसमें बहुत ज्यादा bifurcation होगा, so it would divert the energy. So generally birds have four toes, but they have the three toes, that reduced toes. जितना bifurcation कम होगा उतना it will be good for that running purpose or the walking purpose. ठीक है, हाथ से अगर suppose that if we want to move through the, so suppose that if even if we try to move through the hand, सबसे पहले आपकी मूव पेन होगा तो आपकी फिंगर्स में होगा, बिकॉज फिंगर्स आर नॉट फॉर दैट मूविंग पर्पसेस. ठीक है, जितना जितना आपका बॉडी वेट या सेंट्रल बॉडी सेंटर ऑफ मास जितना बाइफर्केट हो जाएगा एक्सटर्नली इंडिविजुअली, इस पे उतना प्रेशर पड़ेगा. बट जब हम इसको सबको कंबाइन कर देंगे तो सेंटर ऑफ मास एग्जैक्ट सेंटर पे आ जाएगा. ठीक है, दैट इज वन ऑफ द रीजन. ऑस्ट्रिच हैज ओनली टू एंड अडेप्टेशन फॉर हाई स्पीड रनिंग, and adaptation for high speed running. Last लिख लो, fourth one, size and defenses. Specialized plumage के बाद alternative locomotion, fourth लिख लो. Fourth, size and defenses. What we have already matlab we have talked in so many things, that why the size of the mammals is that much big, because they have to survive on the land, right? So how they can survive on the land, या तो उनके पास the proper defense system हो, otherwise if they will small they will going to die, right? They are not even the cold blooded, they are the warm blooded. So they will be in that, you know, broad range of temperature. That means they will have to face different kind of predators. ठीक है, and they do not have the fly, like they do not have the wings, so they can run away. ठीक है, तो वो भी नहीं, so इसके लिए so better survival to protect from the predators also, जब इनकी खुद की साइज बहुत बड़ी बिग हो जाएगी, so of course one of that defense is one very useful and also important for their survival. So overall size, when you are writing, give the justification of the size. Why? Because they are more close to, like they are, after that the mammals is going to evolve. ठीक है, so उनकी साइज मैटर करेगी फॉर दैट सर्वाइवलशिप एंड टू प्रोटेक्ट फ्रॉम द प्रेडेटर्स. ठीक है, चलो राइट ऑन. इन द absence of flight, in the absence of flight, many of these birds leaned into gigantism, giantism, तो बट इसको gigantism ही बोलेंगे, giantism. Without the weight limit, full stop, gigantism के बाद full stop, without the weight limit imposed by gravity and flight, imposed by gravity and flight, they grew much larger, than any flying bird ever could, than any flying bird ever could. As first, size as defense, size as defense. Example, in ostrich, the big size makes it a difficult target for most of predators, with long neck, better for far vision, अब उड़ने वाली होती तो वो विद दैट आकाश में, विद दैट इन द क्लाउड और विद दैट स्काई, वो दूर से देख लेती, ठीक है. बट दे कांट फ्लाई, सो दे हैव दैट लॉन्ग नेक. सेकंड, the weaponized feet, the weaponized feet, weaponized feet. Ready on. Since they cannot fly away, they have developed, they have developed dagger-like claws. They have developed dagger-like claws, dagger-like claws with strong bones, with strong bones or muscle and muscles on their feet, of their feet, of their feet, that can be fatal to threat, that can be fatal to threat. ठीक है, डन. डिफेंस पर्पस में एक और लिख लो जब हम लोग डिफेंस लिख रहे हैं. स्ट्रॉन्ग बीक, स्ट्रॉन्ग beak is also used, is also used for the defensive and offensive purpose. ठीक है, समझ आ गया. फ्लैटलेस बर्ड्स के लिए 10 मार्क्स का नोट. इसमें भी अगर आप लाइक 1/2 भी लिखो, 1/2 भी लिखोगे तो विल बी एनफ. सेकंड कितने पेजेस हो गए अनुष्का? मोर देन 1 तो हो गए होंगे ना? मोर देन 1, ठीक है, सफिशिएंट है. चलो नेक्स्ट मेक द हेडिंग माइग्रेशन इन बर्ड्स एंड राइट द इंट्रोडक्शन बाय योरसेल्फ इन विद इन 2 मिनट्स. 18 हो रहा है. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू राइट द इंट्रोडक्शन, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेल द इंट्रोडक्शन. एवरी वन ऑफ यू राइट, मेक द हेडिंग माइग्रेशन इन बर्ड्स, make the heading migration in birds and try to write the introduction by yourself within 2 minutes only. Add this when you're writing the definition, just add one. पीडीएफ दे दूं चलेगा इसका? करो इसको, नेविगेशन का पीडीएफ दे दूंगी. नेविगेशन आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट एंड आई विल गिव द पीडीएफ. वेरी शॉर्ट नोट है ना. माइग्रेशन हम लोग कर लेते हैं बिकॉज मल्टीपल एग्जांपल्स आते हैं. डन हो गया? नहीं बता रहे, फिर भी बता रहे नहीं, हम आप तो खुद ही बता रहे हो. देखो, add this one and add this one. According to the scientist named Kahan, migration is a periodic passing of animals from one place to another. ठीक है? And then connect with that birds. I hope you guys already connected with the bird, है ना? That birds are one of that best migratory animals. ठीक है? Write like this. You start writing about that body. One place to another. ये डेफिनेशन आप दोनों में ही यूज कर सकते हो. ठीक है? Everyone just add these two. ये शलिशा, यू आर राइटिंग समथिंग? अच्छा, आस्था. Asa, you can unmute your mic if you are comfortable. You can directly tell me. Every one of you have written this now. According to Kahan, scientist, migration is a periodic process of animals, like from periodic passing of animals from one place to another. Bird migration is the regular movements of the birds from one place to. Yes, very good, nice. During the certain seasons, yes. Aishali, yes, you are saying something.
Ma'am, I wrote that migration in birds refers to the bird's ability to navigate, and this event can be triggered due to many factors like reproductive needs, seasonal changes, search for a favorable weather conditions, etc. According to scientist Cont in 1935, migration is a periodic movement of animals, and birds are one of those organisms who can perform migration.
Okay, Aishali, your introduction is good, but not perfect. Okay, no issue, Asta. I have this thing, but you have connected it with the words very nicely. It's good. Actually, what is one thing you need to delete out here? You are mentioning the factors only. Okay, either like the migration in words generally come in 10 markers. If it is coming in your 15 markers, there will be something more added with that. The navigation word. Accordingly, you have added the word navigation. It's completely fine. But if you are writing much navigation, sorry, if you are writing the factors, no, then the introduction will be bulky. Like it will be like exhaust of words limit. इतना लंबा नहीं लिखना होता है. And better आप अपनी if you are writing the factors, good, that's very good, but why not if you can write it in the separate headings that what are the factors. वैसे भी हमें लिखना ही होगा, है ना? If you are even writing, then it
Okay,
will be a
ma'am.
repetition of content. So try to avoid. I have said that, na? Introduction should be only introduction. Just define the concept and connect with the second word. That's Anushka completed. Word से कैसे connect किया? Just show me. आपको मैंने कितनी बार बोला है कि introduction should be in that one stanza. क्या कहाँ लिखा बर्ड्स वाला? अच्छा, birds mainly migrate for the escaping the harsh condition. Again, no need to write the factors. Birds are one of that good migratory who are going from one place, showing the diverse habitat. है ना? What are the migration? Moving from one location to another. So birds are one of the good migratory animals moving from covering a large distances from one port. That's it. Just connect in a very randomly. Do not need to write. आपने आगे टेंगे कोई भी example क्यों mention करना है? वैसे भी if you are writing everything in the introduction, then you'll have the either you will repeat the content, then examiner will think that you do not have the sufficient amount of content. ठीक है? तो avoid करना है, repetition नहीं करना है content. चलो, write it down. Types of या kinds of migration. Everyone have attended nicely. So next make the heading. ये लिख लिया everyone? अनुष्का फटाफट लिखो. किसी ने एग्जाम्पल या फैक्टर्स कुछ भी ऐड नहीं करने इंट्रोडक्शन में. इट शुड बी सेपरेटली रिटन इन द बॉडी पार्ट. ठीक है? एज मच एज हेडिंग यू कैन मेक, लाइक रैंडम नहीं, ऐसा फैक्टर्स वाइज. सो इट शुड बी द गुड आंसर. चलो, राइट इट डाउन. काइंड्स ऑफ माइग्रेशन, kinds of या types of migration, whatever. First, depending on depending upon the plane of movement, the plane of movement, कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है इसमें, so बस do the writing fast little and we'll complete it. The plane of movement of the migrants, of the migrants, प्लेन मतलब हॉरिजेंटल, वर्टिकल, लैटिट्यूडनल, दैट वन, ठीक है. जैसे कि ये सपोज दैट ब्लैक बोर्ड का प्लेन है, सो इधर बर्ड्स आर मूविंग लाइक दैट और बर्ड्स आर मूविंग लाइक दैट, द प्लेन ऑफ द माइग्रेंट्स. Migration can be three types. Migration can be three types. A, horizontal migration. A, horizontal migration. Dash, which occurring on a path perpendicular to the gravitational force. ये था आपका gravitational force. Everyone look at here. This is your gravitational force, just 90 degree vertical, or migration is like that. ठीक है? Try to write in a little science language. Which occurring on a path perpendicular to the gravitational force of the earth, called horizontal migration. First off, depending upon the direction of path, depending upon the directions of path, the horizontal migration further, divided into two groups. First make the heading latitudinal migration. गैसेस पहले साथ में लिख लो, latitudinal and longitudinal. First make the heading latitudinal migration. Latitudinal. If you are writing like that, ऐसे भी लिख सकते हो, latitudinal यहाँ लिख लो, longitudinal यहाँ लिख लो. That will also can be. ठीक है, latitudinal. Write it down. Horizontal migration occurring from north to south. Horizontal migration occurring from north to south, or vice versa, is called latitudinal migration. Is called latitudinal. Even in the geography, we know that this is a latitudes, right? So इस latitude से suppose that इस latitude से यहाँ से ऐसे we can say that your 0 degree यहाँ पे आपका 90 degree. So 90 degree से when it is coming north to south, that is your horizontal, ठीक है? And vice versa is called latitudinal migration. Usually it occurs from north to south, या majorly it occurs from north to south. Majorly it occurs from north to south. मतलब आपके नॉर्थ पोल से यहाँ पे या तो बीच पे आएंगे या साउथ में जाएंगे. But rarely also occur south to north. क्यों? Anyone? Aishali, Manisha, Anushka, Astha.
And the
Why
southern
not?
hemisphere is mostly water, and the northern hemisphere comprises mostly land. So the
Yes, that
habitable
is
space there is less.
very good. Aishali, you have answered the second point. Why the rare south to north? But why north to south very frequently? Okay, yes, nice. Anushka? Why north to south they are migrating? The second thing is, yes, of course, there's a much more. South में है नहीं, there's a not much area for habitat. But why north to south? Arctic turn. The temperature is very harsh, ठीक है? So यहाँ पे आके why they want to go above, ठीक है? So whatever the birds are living in your north pole, they are moving from north. Write it down. Example: cuckoo breeds in India. Cuckoo breeds in India and spends the summer. Cuckoo. Yes, Asa, temperature is correct answer. And spends the summer at Southeast Africa. Underline the cuckoo. Southeast Africa, which means it covers the distance of around, which means it covers the distance of around 7,250 kilometers. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट वर्ड लिखो इसी का एग्जांपल, रफ ब्रीड्स, RUFF ब्रीड्स, BREEDS, rough breeds at Siberia. Underline that, rough breeds. This is two example of latitudinal cuckoo. Yeah, example can be overlap also. Cuckoo. Rough breeds at Siberia, and travels to Great Britain, India, Africa, and Sri Lanka, covering a distance of around 9,650 kilometers. अभी तक पीडीएफ अपलोड नहीं हुई है ना ऑनलाइन गाइस, प्लीज आप लोग अपडेट कर दिया करो, ठीक है। पुराने स्टूडेंट्स होते थे ना, वो अपडेट कर, अगर नहीं होती थी तो वो मुझसे क्लास में बोल देते थे, सो आप लोग एक बार चेक कर लिया करो। सो आई अपलोड इट। क्या अपलोड करना है वैसे? पेरेंटल केयर एंड एम्फीबियंस, I'll see. Yeah, there's a two PDF, no? Just update me so that why when I ask when I'm going to for the test, है ना, आप लोग मुझे बता दो एटलीस्ट। सो द क्लास शुड बी दैट लाइक दैट एक्सेसिबल होनी चाहिए ना। आप लोग कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो एटलीस्ट टेल मी, ओके। 9,650 किलोमीटर। नेक्स्ट मेक द हेडिंग लॉन्गिट्यूडनल माइग्रेशन। पेरेंटल केयर है और एक कुछ और है। पुराने सारे अपलोडेड है, निष्मानिया एंड एवरीथिंग, वो सारे अपलोडेड है। उसके अलावा कुछ है नहीं, बीच में हमने कुछ करा नहीं है। फिशेस वैसे हमने सारी कंप्लीट ही करी है ना। I'll see the lecture and I'll upload it. Next, longitudinal migration. It takes place in east to west direction and vice versa. It takes place in east to west direction and vice versa. Their starting moves from the Atlantic coast, to avoid the continental winter. Example, Pentagonian plover, इसका example, Pentagonian plover. Example you have to have mentioned. Migration in birds almost आया है आपका continuously 23, 24, 25 में. If migration they have not been asked, they have been asked the navigation. I think 2023 के पेपर में migration in birds and migration in fishes दोनों ही क्वेश्चन आए थे, ठीक है। So that's why it is an important topic. So whenever you're writing the important, except your types, you have to have mentioned the examples. Pentagonian plovers visits the Falkland Island, and South Patagonia visits the Falkland Island and South Patagonia in September and October for breeding. Up horizontal completed. Now write down vertical migration. Migration occurring in a plain. parallel to the gravitational pull, parallel to the gravitational pull of the earth, of the earth. This is generally short distance or seasonal movement. This is generally short distance or seasonal movement. Example, example, yellow-eyed junco. Example, yellow-eyed junco, ZUNCO. Descent from, descent from, DESCENDS, descent from the peaks of Arizona, the peaks of Arizona to, to lower warmer desert areas, to lower warmer desert areas when winter snow arrives. When winter snow arrives. C लिखो last. Altitudinal migration. Altitudinal migration. This involves both horizontal and vertical components. This involves both horizontal and vertical components. Birds generally fly up and down. Birds generally fly up and down over the mountains and hills. Over the mountains and hills. Full stop. Generally, this migration occurs. Generally, this migration occurs. छूट तो नहीं रहा ना anyone? Generally, this migration occurs at relatively low altitudes. At relatively low altitudes. Example, small passerine birds. Small passerine birds fly at 60-meter. Passerine, R-I-N-E. Passerine birds fly at height of 60 meters. Although some birds also fly at altitude of 4,000 meters. Example, common woodcock and bush chat. Example, common woodcock and bush cat, CHATA, bush cat migrate from high Himalayas, forest, high Himalayan slopes to the plains during winter. Another birds such as tragopans Another birds such as tragopans move from high altitude snowy tragopans move from high altitude snowy treeless peaks treeless peaks to lower shrub covered foothills in the Himalayas. To lower shrubs covered foothills Himalayas. Okay. So here we have written that first on the planes of the movement. Okay. Second we are writing depending upon second type on the basis of time of flight in migration. Depending upon on the basis of time of flight of migration. Time of flight मतलब कितनी बार माइग्रेशन करते हैं, diurnal, seasonal, like that. ठीक है, depending upon on the time basis during the migration. First diurnal migration, दो ही है इसमें मेजरली, और nocturnal, दिन में और रात में. Diurnal, DIURNAL, टाइम कौन सा है, दिन है या रात है. ठीक है, फर्स्ट मेक द हेडिंग diurnal migration. Many large birds fly in day. Many large birds fly in day time and take rest during the night. Such as crows, hawks, cranes, pelicans, etc. Such as crows, hawks, cranes, pelicans, etc. Full stop. These may stop to forage in suitable places. These may stop to forage in suitable places. This type of migration may have various purposes. This type of, sometimes the diurnal also come into that long migration, है ना. Sometimes for the short migration also, जैसे कि हम लोग देखते हैं, if suppose that you have seen nearby your you know any sparrow का house या nest, है ना, you will see कि day time में वो उड़ के जाती है for the food and something like that, and day time night time पे वो वापस आ जाती है. And as the morning hits, because उनकी जो biological clock होती है, that actually word migration is because of the navigation process. So navigation is because of that sun और उनका जो brain का connect, जैसे हम लोग diurnal है, some people also the nocturnal, but generally we humans are the diurnal. ठीक है. So the purposes can be varied. Sometimes they are the long migratory birds, sometimes they're the short or the daily basis पे. So purposes can be different, right on. In this migration, the purposes can be varied, such as swallows and swifts, such as swallows and shifts. एक student है, she's already said, I think, मतलब one of my, like, not in that, I know her personally. She was telling कि मैम माइग्रेशन का यही तो आंसर है, टाइप सी तो पूछा है ना. सो हमने जो हॉरिजॉन्टल और वर्टिकल ऑल्टीट्यूड निकला, दैट इज आल्सो आंसर, वो भी सफिशिएंट है, यस दैट इज आल्सो सफिशिएंट. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज गाइस कि उतना आंसर प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, सफिशिएंट वो भी है, टाइप पूछा है, माइग्रेशन हमने लिख दिया, फिर इसकी जरूरत क्या है. बट दिस इज आल्सो द माइग्रेशन ना, है ना. यस दैट इज ट्रू दैट इट विल टेक मोर टाइम, सो दैट मीन्स यू हैव टू कंसाइज द कंटेंट ओवर देयर, बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन लिख लो एंड जस्टिफाई विद द एग्जांपल एंड गो ऑन. बट अगर सपोज दैट अगेन वही वाला दैट्स द सेम थिंग, अगर किसी की कॉपी में डिपेंडिंग ऑन द डिफरेंट बेसिस भी लिखा होगा, बिकॉज फॉर श्योर की मॉडल आंसर में तो ये मेंशन होगा ही होगा, तो आपकी कॉपी का सही और गलत डजंट मैटर. then your copy will be the comparison thing. Although zoology is one of the very best option, I would say personally, because I have already told you I was the only one when I gave the mails, है ना, मेरे पूरे center में I was the only one with the zoology option. But that does not mean that I was the only option in all over that 2023 or 22 का means. ठीक है? So copy आपकी हमेशा comparison में जाती है. अगर मैंने suppose that ये लिखा है, आपने ये लिखा है, तो of course मुझे ज्यादा marks मिलेंगे. ठीक है? I just thought कि ये topic इतना खिंच क्यों रहा है, so I thought to give a good justification. स्टैटिक पोर्शन, स्टैटिक सब्जेक्ट होने का ये बहुत पॉजिटिव है कि आपका एक फिक्स्ड मॉडल आंसर होता है, ठीक है, और अल्टीमेटली आपकी जो कॉपीज है किसी यूनिवर्सिटी के कुछ प्रोफेसर ही चेक करेंगे. सो इफ व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग दैट यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम यू डेफिनेटली आर गोइंग टू राइट दिस, राइट. However, swallows and shifts capture their insect food in the air during flight, generally in daytime, generally possible in daytime. First stop, last point इसमें लिखो. Diurnal migratory birds usually travel. ये तो आपका वो वाला हो गया कि ठीक है, जो डेली लेवल पे करती है, दैट इज swallows and shifts, ठीक है. Diurnal migratory, अब ये migratory वाला हो गया. Diurnal migratory birds अब एग्जाम में आ रहा है तो आप लोग इतना सब कुछ नहीं लिखोगे. अगर सपोज दैट इफ यू आर राइटिंग एवरीथिंग एंड यू हैव अ लिटिल लेस टाइम, तो डायurnal डिफाइन कर दो, बेसिस कर दो और आगे बढ़ जाओ, ठीक है, क्योंकि इतना लिखने पर यू विल क्रॉस द वर्ड लिमिट आल्सो. बट व्हेन वी आर राइटिंग सो मेनी थिंग्स इन योर कॉपी, देन यू विल रिमेंबर लाइक 1/10 ऑफ इट, है ना. चलो, diurnal migratory birds usually travel in flock. कैसा अरेंजमेंट विल आर मच वेल ऑर्गेनाइज्ड. जैसे कि फिशेस में वी वर सेइंग दैट स्कूलिंग, है ना, ऐसे बड़ी वाली आगे रहेगी और छोटी छोटी आपकी बीच में रहेगी. इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं फ्लॉक्स विच आर वेल ऑर्गेनाइज्ड. मेक द हेडिंग नॉक्टर्नल. नॉक्टर्नल में लिखो majority of the small sized birds this is also one of the difference, क्योंकि big size की अगर दिन में भी जाएगी तो भी इसकी size is that big so they can just fight with the predators. Small size cannot, right? Majority of the small sized birds like warblers, thrushes, etc. THRUSHES, etc. prefer to go fly at night. Under the protection of cover of darkness. Under the protection cover of darkness to escape their enemies. They feed and rest during the day. However, some birds like geese and ducks, geese का आपका एनिमल बिहेवियर पे बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट है. Geese and ducks fly by day and night while migrating. वैसे तो नहीं, but migrate करते समय they move all the time. Fly by day and night while migrating. Third type, on the basis of season. Seasons. इसमें फर्स्ट लिखो समर विजिटर्स. थर्ड टाइप आपका सीजन्स. फर्स्ट ए समर विजिटर्स These birds arrive in spring from the south. These birds arrive in spring from the south to breed, and leave for south in autumn. In autumn. AUTUMN. Example: swift, swallows, nightingales, cuckoos. Example: swifts, swallows, nightingales, cuckoos, etc. etc. Winter visitors, winter visitors. These birds migrate. These birds migrate southward and southwest. अनुष्का 3 टाइप है. These birds migrate southward and southwest. छोटा सा है लेकिन. In winter, southward and southwest in winter, and go back to north in spring. And go back to north in spring. Example: snow bunting. Example: snow bunting. Red wig. Red wig. Field fair. Field fair, etc. Field fair, etc. Third type. Third type. Birds of passage. किसी भी टाइम में मूव कर लेते हैं. Birds of passage. Birds of passage. Some birds are seen for a short time twice in a year. Some birds are seen for a short time twice in a year. Twice in a year on their way to colder or warmer countries. To colder or warmer countries in spring and autumn. In spring and autumn. Example: sandpipers. Example: sandpipers. Pines, etc. देखो, अगर टाइप्स ऑफ माइग्रेशन आता है, सो आप ये तीनों तक यहां तक लिखोगे इन अ वेरी शॉर्ट वे. दैट मीन्स यू आर जस्टिफाइंग दैट मॉडल आंसर. ठीक, बट वी आर राइटिंग द फोर्थ टाइप टू. आप लोगों को लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज दैट विच वी आर गोइंग टू राइट दैट इज फॉर ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द पर्पस ऑफ द माइग्रेशन. तो उसमें हम लोग 3. यस ऐशाली, टेल मी.
No, ma'am, I didn't say anything. No, no.
No issues. देखो, fourth time we are going to write about that on the basis of the purpose of the migration. ठीक है, on the basis of the purpose the migration is. So उसमें we are going to write that climatic, एलिमेटिक, लाइक क्लाइमेट के बेसिस पे, एलिमेटिक मतलब फूड के बेसिस पे, एंड ब्रीडिंग मतलब रिप्रोडक्शन के बेसिस पे. So that point you can write directly on the factors or the purpose. But if in any scenario the question will be the 15 marker, then you can mention if you want, otherwise no need. ठीक है, write it down. या फिर सेपरेटली भी लिख सकते हैं. नाउ राइट डाउन, रहने दो. कॉजेज ऑफ माइग्रेशन, लीव इट सिंपल. राइट डाउन, फोर्थ बेसिस हटा दो. कॉजेज ऑफ माइग्रेशन. कॉजेज ऑफ माइग्रेशन. आज बर्ड्स का चैप्टर फिनिश करके कल से वी विल स्टार्ट द मैमल्स. हाँ वही सेम है. ठीक है, एग्जैक्टली. कॉजेज, पर्पस, फैक्टर्स, एवरीथिंग इज ऑलमोस्ट सेम. चलो, फर्स्ट इन्वायरमेंटल स्टिमुलस. First, environmental stimulus, but advantage या significance that will be different. ठीक है, उसमें थोड़ा सा बट वर्ड्स को ऊपर नीचे करके प्ले करना है. That's it. Environmental stimulus for migration. First, decline in temperature. Decline in temperature as dash करके. Less hours of light during autumn. As less hours of light, the sunlight better. Less hours of sunlight during autumn. Impact the temperature. Impact the temperature. Which initiates the autumnal migration. Which initiates the autumnal migration in northern hemisphere. In northern hemisphere. Next, इसी में लिखना है. Similarly, increasing the day length. Increasing the day length causing elevated temperature in southern hemisphere. Day length causing elevated temperature in southern hemisphere during spring. During spring. Cause initiator of migration. Cause initiator of migration. Next, food availability. हमने सबसे पहले environmental stimulus डाला है ना. The first we have made the environmental stimulus, isn't it? Second, food availability. मतलब ultimately आप लोग environmental stimulus में क्या लिख सकते हो? Sun, है ना? Which is impacting the temperature. That's it. Second, food availability. As availability of resources, availability of food resources, availability of food resources, and their accessibility, with the specific timing, within a specific timing, such as climatic factor, physiographic factor, developmental factor, etc. impacts the food availability, and initiates the migration, initiates the migration, such as Arctic terns, ब्रैकेट में लिखो, queen of migration, move or migrate from the Arctic areas, to lower latitudes, to avoid harsh winter slash on temperature, which also impact the availability and accessibility of food resources for survival, which also impact the availability and accessibility of food resources in the area for survival. Next, physiological stimulus. Scientists assess the role of endocrine glands. Scientists assess the role of endocrine glands, such as pituitary, gonad, thyroid, adrenal, gonads, thyroid, adrenals, and pineal in migration, These factors majorly impacting the gametic migration. These factors majorly impacting the gametic migration, which occurs in a need to certain environment, for successful completion of reproductive process in which these physiologic these physiological factor impacts in which the physiological factors impact, such as full stop, such as the development of gonads, regulated by pituitary gland, and thyroid gland impact, all metabolic process impact or slash influence, impact नहीं करो, impact slash influences all metabolic processes. Gonadal hormones are also, full stop, next point में लिख लो, gonadal hormones are also responsible for the deposition of fat, in many migratory birds, ठीक है, समझ आ गया. सो मेजर इम्पैक्ट आपका क्या है? टेम्परेचर, फूड एंड क्लाइमेटिक, एलिमेटिक एंड गैमेटिक. ये आपका अनदर टाइप ऑफ माइग्रेशन. डन. एनी डाउट इन द माइग्रेशन? चलो एडवांटेज अपने आप से फटाफट लिखो एवरीवन. सिग्निफिकेंस लिखो. ट्राई टू राइट द कंक्लूजन टाइप ऑफ, ठीक है. एडवांटेज या सिग्निफिकेंस राइट टू बाय योरसेल्फ. देखो एक बार ना नेविगेशन सुन लो, तब तक आप लोग सिग्निफिकेंस लिखना. देखो नेविगेशन क्या होता है? सपोज दैट वी से दैट इन द ज्योग्राफी दैट सच लेक्स आर नेविगेबल, जैसे कि रेड सी है ना, सच एज योर रेड सी. So we can say this is navigable. What is a navigation? हमारे पास we have the navigation satellites. So जो word navigation का मतलब है, that is a simple process in that birds also. Navigation means something you can have that access. ठीक है, जैसे कि birds में navigation in birds आ रहा है, तो आप actually इसको connect migration से ही करोगे. जैसे कि suppose that आपको यहाँ से घर जाना है. Suppose that when the first time you came to the institute or you go some your college or something like that, the exact imprint doesn't comes in your brain, right? But do you try to suppose एक बहुत घुमघुमे टाइप something का critical ray, you try to remember the area. कैसे आप ट्राई करते हो? कुछ आप बिल्डिंग याद कर लोगे, जैसे कि फाइल से कि go straight, there will be not any turns, but yes Aishali, I think it's by mistake, right? Yeah. So suppose that I will tell you कि go straight there will be the red building from which like there are multiple turns, है ना. Then I'll say कि there are left side पे आपकी एक red building होगी, you have to turn over there. So what it is imprinted on your brain, that is your red building. ठीक है. So that kind of, देखो हमें तो इतनी दूर जाना भी नहीं है, and we have seen some of the birds cover even more than 9,000 or 2,000 kilometers. That means they have to recognize their thing, right? So आपका navigation is the process through which is actually helping in the migration or covering the long distances. Why we have to mention the migration में diurnal and nocturnal. Diurnal में जैसे कि we know that, suppose that अभी हमारे पास चीजें हैं, अभी हमारे पास जीपीएस सिस्टम है ना. बिफोर दैट जीपीएस सिस्टम से नहीं होते थे. सो इन द हिस्ट्री वी हैव मस्ट हैव कवर्ड दैट कि ये जो आपका जैसे कि वास्को डिगामा खोजने कुछ और आया था, खोज कुछ और लिया, है ना. सो व्हाट इट इज एक्चुअली कॉल्ड द, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट फर्स्ट नेविगेशन सिग्निफिकेंस आपका होता है सन. तो अभी पता है सन कहां से निकलता है, ईस्ट में, जाता किधर है, वेस्ट में. ठीक है. तो सबसे पहले आपके होते हैं नेचुरल मेथड, वो मेथड जो आपके लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस, जैसे कि अभी हमने क्या पढ़ा, अकॉर्डिंग टू द साइंटिस्ट कैहन, है ना, CHN, उनके अकॉर्डिंग क्या है, द माइग्रेशन इज अ रिपीटेटिव प्रोसेस. दैट मींस सपोज दैट अ बर्ड फ्रॉम द, लाइक सपोज दैट आर्कटिक टन है, वो कहीं पे जाएगी, छोटी छोटी बर्ड्स है, वो इतनी दूर जाती है और वापस शाम को अपने नेस्ट पे कैसे आ जाती है. सो दे मस्ट हैव डिफरेंट, अगर कभी कभी आप देखो चीजें चेंज कर दो तो कभी कभी होता है कि नेस्ट पे वापस वो बर्ड्स नहीं आ पाती है, एंड उसके जो छोटे छोटे एग्स होते हैं वो मतलब वल्नरेबल हो जाते हैं, राइट. बिकॉज बर्ड्स ऑल्सो हैव सम काइंड ऑफ पॉइंट्स थ्रू विच दे रिमेम्बर देयर होम्स. अगर सपोज दैट फर्स्ट आपका सन है या फिर स्टार्स है या फिर मून्स है, पहला कुछ आपके नेविगेशन आपका, इसीलिए जो आईज होती हैं, आईज हैव अ स्पेसिफिक काइंड ऑफ डेवलपमेंट व्हेन वी हैव दैट अडैप्टेशन. हमने लिखा ना ऑप्टिक लोब्स इनके प्रॉपर्ली डेवलप होते हैं, ऑल्दो ऑल्फैक्टरी लोब्स इतने डेवलप नहीं होते, बिकॉज ऑल्फैक्टरी चीजें कंटिन्यूअसली आर चेंजिंग. So they recognize through the sun, through the moon, through the buildings. So artificial or natural methods through which they recognizing their path in the migration, that is called the navigation. ठीक है. अब इसको इम्पैक्ट क्या करते हैं, इसको मल्टीपल चीजें इम्पैक्ट करती हैं, जैसे कि टेम्परेचर, हाउ दे फील कि यहाँ का सपोज सपोज बिल्डिंग रिमूव हो गई, है ना, या बिकॉज ऑफ द सम नेचुरल थिंग्स, अगर टेम्परेचर या कुछ भी मैटर कर रहा है, तो उन चीजों से नेविगेशन पे इम्पैक्ट भी आता है. समझ क्या कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ नेविगेशन. Although I'll provide the short note, अब मैं पीडीएफ में, किसी भी पीडीएफ में I'll include that नेविगेशन पे ऑलमोस्ट 1 पेज का मैं आपको पीडीएफ इंक्लूड करके दे दूंगी, बट अभी नेविगेशन कराने का कोई मतलब नहीं है. ओवरऑल आपका वर्ड्स कंप्लीट हो चुका है. ठीक, चलो फटाफट ट्राई टू राइट द कंक्लूजन. Sum up with the conclusion. क्या लिखेंगे सिग्निफिकेंसेस में, एडवांटेज में? चूज द ब्रॉडर टर्म. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल क्या लिखेंगे, अवॉइडिंग इनटू अनफेवरेबल कंडीशन. सो दैट मीन्स दे आर गिविंग दैट इकोलॉजिकल बेनिफिट्स और दैट सर्वाइवल. ठीक है. आर्किटेक्ट या कोई भी, इफ द फूड रिसोर्सेज आर नॉट अवेलेबल देयर, है ना, तो वहां पे इसको हम लोग मल्टीपल लिख सकते हैं, इवोल्यूशनरी बेसिस भी लिख सकते हैं, सर्वाइवल बेसिस भी लिख सकते हैं, अनफेवरेबल कंडीशन भी लिख सकते हैं, और फिर एनवायरमेंटल बेनिफिट भी लिख सकते हैं. जैसे कि वी हैव मस्ट हैव सीन दैट बहुत सारी आपकी लेक्स है इंडिया में जहां पे आपकी माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स आती है, तो बायोडाइवर्सिटी रिच भी करती है ना. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट कि इनकी जो पॉपुलेशन है वो डाइवर्स एरियाज में जाती है, जैसे कि बहुत सारी पेलिकन्स इंडिया की लोकल बर्ड्स नहीं है ना, बट दे कम टू दैट, तो टूरिस्ट अट्रैक्शन. अगर आपको लिखना ही है फिर एडवांटेज, तो पहले कुछ पॉइंट्स आप लोग बर्ड्स के रिस्पेक्ट में लिखोगे, बिकॉज दैट इज देयर प्रोसेस. टूरिज्म एंड ऑल ये तो सिग्निफिकेंट हो रहे हैं, असेस मतलब असेस कर रहे हैं उसको, दे आर नॉट द मेन कोर थिंग. ठीक है. तो पहले बर्ड्स में लिखेंगे बेटर सर्वाइवल बाय लाइक अवॉइडिंग दैट हार्श कंडीशन, मेंटेनिंग दैट गैमेटिक, है ना, प्रोवाइडिंग दैट फूड, सच काइंड ऑफ इकोलॉजिकल इवोल्यूशन इन द सर्वाइवल. अगर पॉइंट है या वर्ड लिमिट है तो टूरिज्म ऐड करो, नहीं है देन प्लीज डू नॉट ऐड. अननेसेसरी की वर्ड लिमिट इंक्रीज नहीं करनी है कि पहले हमने टूरिज्म लिख दिया है और कंक्लूजन को बल्कि कर दिया ना. पहले बर्ड्स के सेंस में लिखेंगे, देन आफ्टर अगर पॉइंट लग रहा है या फिर सिग्निफिकेंसेस सेपरेटली पूछे गए हैं, देन प्लीज ऐड इट. ठीक है एवरीवन. चलो, इवोल्यूशनरी सिग्निफिकेंसेस, इनका डाइवर्सिफिकेशन हो रहा है ना, है ना. तो एज दे आर इवोल्यूटिंग, जैसे कि अभी हमने जस्ट लिखा यस सेंसरी ऑर्गन्स में इनका एवोल्यूशन, जैसे कि अभी हमने लिखा डक्स और गीस के जो एंसेस्टर थे, दे वर द फ्लाइटलेस, दे वर द प्रॉपर फ्लाइंग बर्ड, उनका एवोल्यूशन ही तो हुआ. अभी हम लोग उनको प्रॉपरली, मे बी कल के जैसे कि अभी जो लोग चिकन खाते हैं तो क्या वो ये देख के पकड़ते हैं कि चिकन फ्लाई है? नहीं, दे जस्ट हैव दैट ब्रेस्ट पीस, जो भी हम लोग नॉनवेज में जो भी खाते हैं उनके बेसिस पे खाते हैं। तो मे बी आफ्टर लाइक 10 to 12 या 15 years of later, मे बी हम ये बोले कि hen is also included in that flightless bird, एक अलग स्पीसीएशन क्रिएट हो जाए, है ना? आर्टिफिशियल फैक्टर्स इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द फैक्टर फॉर द स्पीशीज, राइट? थैंक यू एवरीवन. We'll start the mammals tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.